Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE Monday Night Raw episode 1362 and the ride-along episode that aired right after it. And man, this episode is awesome. Like, even the worst parts I still enjoyed quite a bit. Quote unquote, there's always a worst part of any given thing. And sometimes the worst part is still pretty good. So, yeah, what a great episode. All of my favorite parts, if they had happened on a pay-per-view, I would have been delighted. But instead, they were on a regular episode, not just a regular episode, but an episode of Monday Night Raw. Fantastic. I loved it. The 3 hours just flew by, because it was all so entertaining, and then ride along afterwards was so much fun. Let me start there. This is another great integration of product placement, as this episode right up top it says it's sponsored by KFC. So I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. The last time it worked really well. We had a huge crossover episode with Demandy's Donuts there, but this time it was a scavenger hunt where one of the things they had to get was Cheetos and chicken, and they were highlighting the Cheetos chicken, which I don't know anything about that. I don't know if I'll ever try that, but it did make me hungry for food in general. And maybe I should have gotten it. I'm getting a little bit hungry for food in general right now. I haven't really eaten since this morning, but I am recording this right before SmackDown airs, so I will try to make this kind of quick. And I'm probably gonna order pizza, to be honest. But the two teams. There was a scavenger hunt. They had to take pictures, doing all kinds of stuff, and their clues could be up for interpretation. But we had the Iconics versus the Major Bros, and they're like talking about WrestleMania and both of them winning the championships and all that. It was pretty cool. And then they went all around Austin, Texas, trying to find all kinds of stuff to take pictures with. They had to do like one thing with doing the Abbey Road deal, which I don't know why that was part of an Austin scavenger hunt. But the Major Bros, they went to a toy store that was a landmark, I suppose, and knocked out a ton of their clues there. That was really fun to watch. And then they did the Abbey Road thing with the action figures, instead of doing it themselves. So that was a cool idea. They were in the picture, but that was pretty cool how they did that. We had another reference to Ice Shamey. We had that happen in the last episode when we had the bar was actually in that episode, and then this one they were talking about Celtic Warrior workouts, and Billy Kay and Peyton Royce were singing the Ice Shamey. So they need to reference that. I tweeted at all of them, and at WWE, that there needs to be an Ice Shamey reference in every episode of Ride Along from now on, please. That'd be great. Also, this episode, I didn't even realize that this episode was going to be a big product placement episode, but earlier, during Raw, there's a CarMax commercial starring Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, and I tweeted, "Oh, yes, please, more like, seriously, I wasn't being facetious. I tweeted that I wanted to see more iconic commercials. That would be great." And then I ended up with a half-hour iconic commercial that was pretty great. So more of that. I'm totally fine with them not having any matches. They're gonna have a match soon at Extreme Rules, I'm pretty sure. But we'll find out more on SmackDown. But I'd be okay with them not having very many matches if they're too busy just doing all these really funny commercials. So Yeah, but ideally both having both things would be great. So yeah, go check out this episode. I won't give away who won the scavenger hunt. But go check out this episode so you can find out. The ending was pretty funny too. There's like a referee involved with the the ruling for the competition. So yeah, let's go back. Or head back to the top of Raw. We opened the night with a match. That was awesome. So it was pretty widely known, at least on the internet, that starting with this week, Paul Heyman would be the executive, start his position as the executive producer of Monday Night Raw. And sometime in the near future, maybe not necessarily this week, maybe after Extreme Rules, but Eric Bischoff is like present for the time being, getting acclimated, I believe, from what I've heard, from what I've read, this week as well. But Monday Night Raw, definitely, Paul Heyman is at the wheel, and it makes sense to me if him and Bischoff were at both shows just for a couple weeks so they could get everything onto the same page, or finish with things being on the same page so that they can get onto separate pages after Extreme Rules or something like that. But anyway, so that like thought is kind of like behind everything. Like, I think a lot of the perception has that in the back of people's minds, including myself. But I think even if I didn't know that aspect of it, I would still be pretty hyped on this episode. So we open up with an actual match that starts within the 4 minutes of the night beginning, which is like a great thing. I hope that continues, that we don't get a whole bunch of promos at the top of the show. We could just get a quick recap of what's going on as a match starts, as the entrances are made, as the match is about to begin. But Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman in a Falls Count Anywhere match. They battle all around the arena, and Strowman ends up slamming or like tackling Bobby Lashley through the LED boards. It like explodes, all these explosions, and we get some swearing on commentary, or a single swear word, but it was super effective. It was using the right attack type against a specific Pokemon type. It was super effective, and they're both dead basically, and we just have this camera that's just on them from a distance as the paramedics come in and all of that. It was pretty cool. It was so different from anything we've seen in a while that, yeah. Unfortunately, they did replay it a ton, but when something really cool happens like that, I kind of can't blame them for wanting to show it as much as they can. And it does kind of, if that was real and it happened at a real event, and they would be replaying it and talking about it all the time also. So, but I think they kind of overdid it like right after it happened. I think if they just replay it like once or twice there, instead of about 7 times right off the bat. Anyway, why am I being negative about it? Because it was awesome. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. And it got things off to the right start. We had Viking Raiders versus a New Day. It got ended via disqualification when Joe attacked Xavier Woods, but Kofi came out to the rescue, and so we got a restart of the match with the Viking Raiders plus Samoa Joe versus all of the New Day. Kofi wasn't part of that first match. And the non-New Day team, let's call them Old Knights. They're the opposites. They win because Joe gets Kofi in a coquina clutch there in the middle of the ring, and he does not give up. He does not tap out. He goes unconscious. And so I believe this is Kofi's first loss since WrestleMania, which is kind of awesome for Kofi. And awesome for Joe on this episode. Joe is a legit threat now. Like when Kofi went out, I thought, oh damn. Joe just might win the WWE Championship. And that would be pretty impressive. Although we had not seen, we didn't see AJ Styles challenge for the WWE Championship yet, did we? I don't think we did. Because he went right after WrestleMania. He went to Raw, and he challenged Seth Rollins. At Extreme Rules, not Extreme, Money in the Bank. I don't think we saw him fight Kofi Kingston, at least not for the championship. Anyway, it begs the question: would AJ Styles? Oh, we'll get to AJ Styles in a little bit. Up next, Drake Maverick has his wife blindfolded because he promised that he would leave to go on their honeymoon, and he reveals where they are, and she's right away. She's like, "Did you bring me to Raw for our honeymoon?" So they end up with front row seats. They're kind of enjoying the time, but we have a match with. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Backstage, Gallows and Anderson they don't think that AJ can win the United States Championship from Ricochet, so they're really riling AJ Styles. They're getting a bee in his bonnet. They're putting a bee in his bonnet, lighting a fire under his butt, that kind of thing. And so they end up going and talking to let's see. Yeah, they were saying, why are you giving us crap? Because you're not doing so great yourself. You barely won last week. It was a non-title match, but you barely won against Ricochet. I don't think you could actually win it. Then we are about to have No Way Jose versus Cesaro, but is interrupted because R-Truth is there as part of the conga line, and he just like lays on the barrier right in front. Because Drake and his wife are there in the front row, and R-Truth kind of gloats by just laying down right in front of him on the barrier. He could have gotten pinned in that situation, technically, maybe. Although both his shoulders wouldn't be on that surface, but so I don't know if that would have counted. But Drake gets a look. He gets a look from his wife, and he's okay. I'll sit back down. But the rest of the 24/7 prospects come flying out from backstage and chase R-Truth around. And in the aftermath of that, Cesaro pretty much murders No Way Jose. Hits him with that neutralizer outside of the ring, and they just cut away. They no follow up on him. He's probably fine. He's not dead like Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley is, but I mean, still dead. Let's see. We had an interview backstage with the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. They want the smoke. They want the smoke. That was pretty fun. And then they come back later to interrupt an interview with Paul Heyman, who's talking about Brock Lesnar, of course. And they, they're really funny. I like them. I like them already, but these two segments I got to liking them even more. And it's also nice that they're shown having the NXT championships. That makes me hopeful that they won't. I mean, it's kind of weird that they already just called up Viking Raiders, who were the current the NXT Tag Team Champions at the time. So it's kind of weird that let's bring over the current Tag Team Champions again. But because they're actually wearing the championships, all of that, there's no talk of them being call-ups or anything like that. It's just like, oh, look who's here on Raw. That kind of thing. Not look who's now a part of the Raw roster, anything like that. But Yeah, I really enjoyed the Street Profits segments, and then my name for this episode, because he's at the back of everybody's mind watching in all that, and is a pretty good spin on that is that they call him Hey Man. So that's what the name of this episode will be. Hey Man. Up next, we had a segment with the Undertaker and Drew and Shane. It was pretty good stuff. His exit, well, his entrance, both things were really, really long. But we had some lightning strikes and the smoke and explosions. So pyro is back in general. It's not full back like for everything, but we got a little bit of pyro on this episode. I was gonna check on something. Maybe it was something that I was like, that was while I was asleep, that I was imagining certain things about the schedule to be able to do stuff of timing of things. I'll have to look at that. But I did wish that I had gone to see these, go and see this episode in person, because it's in Texas. But then to go to SmackDown, I have to go even further to San Antonio again, and then I would have to drive back all the way from San Antonio again. So I think I made a better decision not going to those. Plus, I had an appointment Tuesday that I didn't want to lose out on for tattoo stuff. But anyway, yeah, Undertaker, he ends by saying, "You two will never rest in peace." So good little spin on that. Up next, we had Lacey Evans versus Natalya with Baron Corbin at ringside. Lacey won. It was because Corbin provided some distractions and stuff like that. So they are feeling super confident going into Extreme Rules to fight their mixed tag team opponents, Seth and Becky. The WWE account asked what their team name would be, and like a bunch of people were saying, like, no, don't do that. They're not talking about what their couple name would be. They're asking what their tag team name would be, because they are in a tag team match. I think it's perfectly reasonable to come up with a name. Like, would you be saying that if they asked? I mean, I don't think they did, but if they asked that, what Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans' team would be, people wouldn't be all upset about that, would they? So I think it's a fair question to wonder, what would their tag team name be? Because all of the mixed match challenge teams would have names. This isn't any different. Just because the implication is that it's their couple name, I think that's yeah. So I suggested, even though everybody else was like, no, what are you doing? No, give them their privacy. Things like, they have a tag team match. They're a tag team, at least for one match, and another match on this night. But I suggested that they be called the Firemen. Yep. Somebody else suggested the Burning Man. That was pretty good. I think Burning Men would make sense. Something about the Man in the Man and fire. So either of those, I think, would work pretty well. And neither of those things have to do with them being a couple. It's all just about their wrestling monikers, their wrestling their wrestling nicknames, and slogans, catchphrases. Anyway, we had Gallows and Anderson backstage making more trouble, going up to Ricochet, stirring things up, and then they go and talk to AJ and say, "You won't believe what Ricochet said. He said that he could beat you anytime. He'll beat you tonight for the United States Championship." And they're good at getting into AJ's head right now. And so they go just right around the corner. Ricochet is just right, like in the next room. Very funny. But AJ challenges him. Ricochet accepts, and AJ slaps him right in the face. And then Ricochet slaps him right in the face back. And we're on another Ricochet versus AJ Styles main event. I am so excited. I was very excited at this moment when watching, and I'm still excited because I have watched it and I know what happens later on. But before we get there, we had The Miz versus Elias in a 2 out of 3 falls match. More of it. Okay, they're like having to come up with like ways to end a match and then like restart it, or have the 2 out of 3 falls match, and then it like in this case they said, oh, we'll take a commercial break after the second fall. Like, oh, okay. I guess it could be a second fall to The Miz, and the match would be over at that point. And it would make sense to go commercial. But I feel like it would make more sense for the commercial breaks to be like integrated with it if they did just like 5-minute rounds, that all of the matches are standard like 10 minutes total in 5-minute rounds. And if it ends in the first 5 minutes, then that's it. But if it continues on, then they have breaks between rounds anyway, and they could do that way. I feel like that would be more sports-like than the 2 out of 3 falls that just so happen to match up really well with when we take the commercial breaks, that kind of thing. Because then you're like always expecting it to go to 3 falls. Like, that's really obvious that, like, yeah. Whereas if it's just the 5-minute round is over, and it's like, bell rings, back to your corners, we'll be right back. That kind of thing. But maybe that's too much like UFC. I don't know. The Miz versus Elias. Okay, it's 2 out of 3 falls, so The Miz gets 1 fall. It's called a crushing finale. Elias hits the drift away for the second fall, and then The Miz, after the commercial break, gets the figure 4 leg lock and submits Elias for the win. Then we had Seth and Becky come out talking about that they wouldn't advise one another to losing the titles. But Mike and Maria Kanellis come around, and they are not impressed, and they challenge them to a match. Right, so we end up with Seth and Becky versus Mike and Maria. They put up a fight, I guess. But Mike ends up tagging in Maria after he's having some trouble with Seth. And Maria instantly runs away, goes and grabs a microphone and says, no. Mike, you were supposed to just take care of this. You said you could beat Seth Rollins. All that stuff, just berating him. And then Becky is like, oh, come on, shut up, you dope. And then goes to hit her, and then Maria says, no, I'm pregnant. And Mike is taken aback with this. By the way, this part, I'm getting really into this, but I felt like this part was like kind of the worst part of the whole show, but I still enjoyed it. So Mike is like, you're pregnant? What? How? What? And he's not like, it didn't seem like he was happy about it. He seemed like he was very confused about it. And Ray says, well, I don't think it was you because you're not man, that kind of thing. And then it went on for a little bit too long after that. But the match ended because Maria wouldn't wrestle, and Mike was so flabbergasted that Becky just goes in there and hits him with the disarm her. So I think that might be a preview of what's to come, that Becky might win the match by pinning Baron Corbin or something like that. Like that could happen, and I think that would be a pretty fun way to end that. That would be like the most satisfying way for that match to end, if Becky just destroys Baron Corbin. But we'll see what happens. So it's a disarm him in that case. Up next, we had that interview with Paul Heyman with the Street Profits coming in, saying, hey, man. And I like the way that both of them exited. They said, I got to go. I'm going this way. And Paul Heyman leaves. They said, we overstay our welcome. We're going this way. And they go the other way. It was good. It was good fun. A moment of bliss starring Nikki Cross. I think it was because she was wearing her ring gear, and I think Renee was like, "Why isn't she wearing pants to host her show?" Something like that. It was pretty funny. But Carmella interrupts their interview and starts some stuff with them. And Alexa says, "Well, you're just R-Truth's sidekick." And then Carmella says, "Well, I'll show you a sidekick when I kick you in the side of your head." It was a good response. I like that. It was stupid. It was such a stupid response, but it made me laugh. So we have Carmella versus Alexa, where Carmella defeats Alexa in about 2 seconds. And there we go to commercial, come back, and then Carmella has another match against Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross trying to get some retribution, some vengeance for Alexa's loss there. And Nikki Cross wins against Carmella, which Alexa is very happy about, and she steals the spotlight for the victory celebration afterwards. But I'd say that strengthens the case that Nikki Cross should be fighting Bayley for the championship, not Alexa Bliss. I mean, Nikki Cross already did beat Bayley, and then she beat Carmella just now after Carmella beat Alexa. So via the like rock paper scissors as a transitive property or whatever, Nikki would be able to beat. Well, Bayley already beat Alexa, Carmella just beat Alexa, and then Nikki Cross beat both of them. So it would make sense that Nikki Cross would also beat Alexa, and so that, but also Nikki Cross would beat both of them again. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But I thought the whole series of events was pretty fun. Backstage. Oh yeah, backstage. Alexa Bliss. Oh, what happened with that? Am I peeking for some reason? Backstage, Alexa is asked. Well, the WWE universe seems to want Nikki Cross versus Bayley instead of against you. And she just says no comment and storms off. Backstage, Drake and his wife are getting ready to leave on their honeymoon, but as she's getting freshened up, I keep popping the mic. I'm sorry. As she goes and gets freshened up, R-Truth, having been hidden from the 24/7 prospects, it comes face to face with Drake, and Drake says, "No, it's okay. I've got to go on my honeymoon now. I'm not going to try to pin you," all of that. But as soon as R-Truth turns around to go on his way, Drake uses his luggage to just smack R-Truth in the back of the head, calls for a ref, gets the championship, and then his wife comes back right at that moment. He says, "No, come on, let's go." And he leaves his luggage behind. So he's going on his honeymoon without any luggage. What a mistake. But he doesn't seem to care at all. He posted a video like of highlights of him and his wife like going to the airport, checking in, all of that, and he is so happy, and his wife is getting more and more annoyed. And she points out in one of the clips, she points out like, "You're still wearing the same clothes because you left your luggage behind." And I really, really like that. That was absolute. It was, if it was an accident when they did it, he's making it. He's carrying over continuity of it, and I love it. It's great. So yeah, the Drake Maverick is so funny. So obviously, R-Truth is gonna track him down on that honeymoon and win the championship back. Will we see that on tonight's episode of SmackDown? I hope so. I hope we see some follow-up of that, or at least just an update, just a quick up. If the change doesn't actually take place, just like the hinting at it taking place, because the honeymoon's got to be at least a couple of days, right? Also, my question is, who is running 205 Live while Drake Maverick who's been running 205 Live in general anyway? I don't know, because he has been so distracted. Now he's like actually gone. They'll be fine. They'll put on good matches still. And then our main event, AJ Styles versus Ricochet. just go watch this whole thing. Just go watch this. That's all. That's it for this episode. No, the stuff ending before commercials and no wrestling during the commercials is. I hope that's like the only real negative thing about the show now. Like everything else is much more entertaining than it has been, except for this element of it, because we have AJ Styles win the match, become the new United States champion, except that Ricochet's foot was underneath the ropes, and so John Cone comes out and says, "Hey," talks to the referee who's actually in the ring. I forget which ref was the actual ref for the match. Is that, hey, his foot was under there. We have to restart the match. So we get the match restart afterwards. Gallows and Anderson are there on the entrance ramp like the entire time. Anyway, as this ominous distraction, possibly this ominous threat. Oh man, a great callback, because Corey, when the stage thing happened, Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley exploding, he said, "Holy S." And then after Ricochet, he like flips the outside, lands right on his feet. When AJ dodges it, he goes, "Holy crap." Not in that voice, but so he kind of lost his edge throughout the episode. The 3 hours makes a big difference, I guess. Maybe he was yelled at the entire time. I can't believe you said, "Holy crap." Anyway, Ricochet defeats AJ Styles to retain the championship. But Gallows and Anderson are like, "WTF, dude? What's going on? You've lost the edge, AJ." So they get up on the apron. AJ is like, "Oh, like, shaking hands and stuff like that. Real sportsmanship, Blake, with the good sportsmanship." But Gallows and Anderson, the two devils on his shoulders, say, come on. They give him that look. And AJ turns around, just beats up Ricochet. I almost said beats up John Cena. So then all three of them, they just take turns beating up Ricochet. Nobody comes out to help Ricochet. That was one of the things. Nobody came out to help Ricochet here. And earlier, nobody rushed to Braun Strowman's side, rode with him in the ambulance or anything like that. That would have been like a really easy way to establish somebody's friendship with him. They didn't do that. These why do none of these guys have friends out here? No Way Jose, all of his friends abandoned him when Cesaro just attacked him. None of the Congo line were there checking on him. They probably all chased after R-Truth as well. They didn't know that he was coming up in the rear with the 24/7 championship. Otherwise, one of those Congo line members would have gone for the pin there too. But the club is back in full force. Heel AJ is at it again. And I hope this means that, he's going after Ricochet right now, but AJ just running wild on you, brother. Running wild on all of Raw with Gallows and Anderson at his sides. This is going to be awesome. And I'm super excited for it. And I hope this match happens. I hope they have another match and that it is whatever the stipulation is. I hope it makes it crazy, but not too crazy, because I don't want to see either of them get hurt. But I want to see them have a hell of a match at Extreme Rules. Selfishly, because I will be there, but I'm so excited. And Gallows and Anderson going after the tag team championships. That's gotta happen. We did not see the tag team champions at all in this episode. That was kind of weird. We saw the Street Profits, the NXT tag team champions, twice in this episode, but we didn't see the Usos or Revival at all. So that's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe they'll show up on SmackDown. I guess we'll see. Not that I want them to show up on SmackDown, but chances seem good that they will. Oh man, the Club versus the Bloodline. Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be good. What's a tag team that would team up well with Ricochet? Also, I guess the Usos could also get Ricochet's back. But what are some other tag teams that could give him some backup? I don't know. But yeah, I think that does it for this episode is awesome. I could easily just go back through all, not easy. I would have to remember some different stuff because I did exhaust my notes pretty much. But this is the most excited I've been to talk about an episode of Raw. And I kind of wish I had recorded it right afterwards. I would have been even more excited. But I thought I was going to go see Spider-Man. But I took a quick nap, which did not take at all. I woke up after my alarm had been going off for a while. And I do not feel... I'm like awake now, but I do not feel like going out and all of that. So I have to take a shower and all that kind of thing. So I ended up watching a bunch of Survivor instead, like 4 episodes of Marquesas. So I'm getting caught up on that. But I am planning to see it later tonight, like at 10:50 tonight. And I'm really excited. I wanted to go see it at midnight last night because I didn't want to get any spoilers or anything, because I felt like I was on the verge of reading spoilers of people just being so excited about it that they were like, you gotta go see that because of this one thing. Because the one comment I saw was like, you gotta stay for the end credits scene. It was amazing. That's like on the verge of being a spoiler. Like, I feel like that person maybe actually typed out a spoiler for the thing, and they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't type that. But like, yeah, it's a Marvel movie. I'm gonna stay for you don't have to tell people you gotta stay for the end credit scene. Like, it's just common. Not you just do. That's just what you do for a Marvel movie. Is you stay for his stuff at the anyway. So I am very excited to go see it, and I have so far avoided like all spoilers, all actual spoilers. I've seen some like speculation stuff over the last few weeks, but that's different. So I will probably have just an episode for Spider-Man on its own. So watch out for that, and I'll be back with my SmackDown and 205 Live thoughts. So let me know what you thought about Raw by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode of the links with your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen, and stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses, and I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye. Stranger Things 3, the game, coming soon. That the email pops up right as I'm about to hit stop. Okay, now I'm hitting stop. Goodbye, everybody.